Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Would you want to live the same life over and over again 100 times over? What do you want to make out of your life? Who do you want to be? Look, life is short. You got what you got, and you really have to go for your own. And nothing will change unless you change. Guys, I'm helping men make that change at my intensive retreats in San Diego, California. Go to kfmretreat.com to learn more and be a part of a program that is transforming men's lives into the most powerful version of themselves. Again, that's kfmretreat.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Drew Gerber, CEO of Wasabi Publicity and the author of Destination Aha. All right, Drew, happy to have you here on the show.
It's great to be here, Andrew. I'm inspired by your commitment, and I really love your show, so it's an honor for me to be here.
All right, thank you. And Drew, then, as always, you know that we kickstart off every show with a favorite success quote of the guest or some sort of saying that they've lived by. So what do you got for us? And then go ahead and explain why you chose that.
Okay. My favorite success quote is, breath is the thread to remember everything you've forgotten. And why I really love that is I think moment to moment in our life, we have access to everything that we need to be happy, to be successful, to live the lives of our dreams. But moment by moment, we need to really stop and get present, because in those moments is when we actually have those aha moments, right? That spark this insight where we have a glimpse into a whole new world that wasn't available. And it was always there, but it took that stopping to really realize it.
All right. I like that. It kind of alludes to the book Destination Aha, so I'm excited to hear more and really dive deeper into that topic. Before we do, let's dive into your story a little bit and how you got started with what you do, how you got into business, and how the book came to be. So go ahead and share with the audience how you got started.
All right. Well, 12 years ago, I was doing this program with my business partner, and I turned to her and said, hey, we should go into business. And she said, doing what? And I said, I don't know. We'll figure this out, but we'll just do it. Well, we discussed it, and one of the things that we really wanted to do was get up underneath those people that were really committed to making a difference in the planet. And the best way to do that is really through PR, and that was Michelle's background. And because, you know, if you want to change the world, you have to change what people are talking about, and the quickest way to do that is really with PR. So that's really what started our path and really created Wasabi Publicity. Now, the book, Destination Aha, really actually started when I was sitting on the couch with my partner and we were watching a show called House Hunters International. And it's a show that follows people around the world looking for properties. And I said, I want to live outside the United States. So we began exploring different countries to live in. And we landed on Budapest, Hungary. And lo and behold, when we were out looking for properties, our realtor, we were out looking, and he said, hey, I was contacted by this show in the States, this fly-by-night organization called House Hunters International. And we're like, oh my God, it's an amazing opportunity for you. So we called him back, and we ended up being on that show. But in the meantime, we started really traveling around, and I'd always loved travel, but I got really presence to the difference that travel really makes for people in their lives. Because when you are taken out of the water that you swim in, you're not only present to the water you're currently swimming in, but you're also more present to the water that you came from, which has you value it all that much more.
Right. How has this opened up your creative thinking? How has this opened up your mind living in Budapest?
Well, one of the things that has opened up my mind is, and has me profoundly grateful to be an American. I'd always known that how fortunate we were to be an American because we have a lot of abundance and we have a lot of things, material things. And I'd always known that we were lucky in that way. But one of the things I hadn't realized is I hadn't realized how lucky we were to have the mindset that anything is possible. Because I just lived in the world like, look, everybody has that mindset that everything is possible, but they don't. And it's been really interesting being here in Budapest, and we also bought a place in Serbia, is dealing and interacting with people and trying to do business over here. They don't live in that same world. For them, everything's not possible.
Wow. What are some of the reactions? Like, are you talking about new ideas in business or just new ways of productivity? Like, how is the mindset kind of closed down in other parts of the world?
Well, one of the things over here is that it is not okay for them to fail. So if they actually fail in business, which in America we kind of wear it as a badge of honor that we fail, the more you fail, the more you succeed. And the people that are, multimillionaires, Donald Trump, they fail multiple times and then they succeed and they're proud of that. Over here, people are not allowed to fail because society shuns them. Their families shun them if they're failed. It's not okay. Well, if failure is not an option, you're never going to take any risk. And if you're not going to take any risk, you're relegated to your life, which is your job, what you do day to day and everything. So it's an interesting, fascinating thing, but it is not okay for them to fail. And it's not okay for them really to take risk.
Wow. So is kind of entrepreneurship not... Because here, I guess you can say it's kind of sexy. It's kind of, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, or at least, that they would like to. So over there, is it more kind of like the corporate mindset, like the safe job, and so that you can take care of the family type of situation?
Well, there's a blossoming entrepreneur community here with startups, right? And the young people seem to be embracing that a bit more than the older generations. But yeah, and even when they do their startup or being an entrepreneur, they still play it safe. So it's like a concept like entrepreneur even is different for them than it is for us.
That's really interesting. And I'm looking at your book here, and How to Discover Your Life Purpose Without Tea Leaves, Agonizing Soul Searching, or Yet Another Costly Seminar. I mean, that just strikes my attention right there. So, can you elaborate on that?
Here is you already know what your purpose is. And I think we play these games with ourselves like we don't know what it is. But if you really stop, if you look and see what you truly value in life, that's your indication of what your purpose is. They go hand in hand, but really what you value. I'm not talking about the big house and the car. What do you value? Like, do you value your interactions with people? One of the things that I love doing when I'm out and about is just I like to connect with people, and it really gives me a spark. And I really love to have them have a great day and that they be known for whatever it is. So if I'm at the Starbucks, I'm going to make sure that person giving me coffee is completely known, and that they walk away from our interactions, handing me the coffee, feeling great about themselves. And it's what I love about what I do with my PR clients and working with potential clients or all of that. It's that same phenomenon that I value. It's that connection.
Yeah, and this can equally apply into business as well.
Completely. It's whatever it is for you that you love to do that, and don't do anything else. Like, it's too often, clients come to us and they want traditional PR, they want online PR, they want social PR, they want to write a blog. And you talk to them and like, well, I want to write a blog, but they hate to write. And you're like, why would you do a blog if that's not something that sparks your passion? It's not part of your purpose.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe they're listening to what others are doing and they see it's working for others, so they want to do it themselves.
I think that if I could give any piece of advice, it's stop listening to gurus, period. Literally, information makes no difference. It's really applying that wisdom. You're applying knowledge, like, right? What you're talking about, your show is about. It's knowledge. It's not about more information. It's knowledge that really opens up worlds and makes something available. More information closes stuff down and makes no difference, period.
The information overload and analysis versus paralysis, and just
completely right. We're just stuck. Like, how to have the right relationship, how to have the right career, how to be successful in business, and you're just frozen.
Yeah, I think it prevents a lot of things from happening. So what are some of the keys to a successful and productive business?
I think that the keys to a successful and productive business is for you really to focus on those things that bring you joy and happiness and forget everything else. One of the reasons that we've been so successful is with my business partner that I spoke of, Michelle, is because we love doing different things. She's really a great speaker and loves to talk, and that's why she's great dealing with the media and supports our team making the media placements. I love to listen. I just love it. I love listening to the clients or potential clients. So I'm really accountable for bringing in business because I listen to what the clients want rather than telling them what they need. So that's my gifts. So you got to figure out what your gifts are and really do those and forget everything else.
That kind of goes back to stop listening to the gurus and really just kind of focus inward on yourself and where are your gifts and talents?
What are your, because that's really where life begins to open up. And I think that that's where you find pure enjoyment. We both know, I'm sure, a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses that are working like crazy, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, making no progress on themselves. It kind of really defeats the whole purpose of being an entrepreneur, which for me is really designing a life that you love.
Yeah, I could see this really having an impact also on just personal relationships as well. It's like really, even if, stop listening to gurus, like maybe doing things you don't want to be doing or pretending to be someone else. I think really focusing on who you are is key to relationships.
It's completely, and it all goes back to what do you value. And relationships that are very successful are where you're having conversations with people that you value. You're talking about those things that you value. Relationships devolve when you begin talking about things that you have no interest in, you don't value it. That's why in the beginning of a relationship, it's so juicy, right? Because you're getting to know each other. You're talking about what you value, what they value. And then it devolves into, hey, what do you want to do Friday night? There's no spark.
Right. Yeah, we've been there.
It just becomes boring. And then people are wondering, well, what happened to the spark of the relationship? Well, you quit having the conversations you were having in the beginning of the relationship.
Right. Now, let's say, what are some of the kind of questions that you ask to help people or even businesses understand their own values better? Maybe they're just confused. They're listening to so many of the gurus and they've kind of lost touch with actually who they are.
One of the things it's really interesting. I was connecting with someone on LinkedIn and they asked me this question, what are you passionate about? And I was going to give them the canned answer. Well, I'm really passionate about making a difference for people. Well, it's really cliche and it really doesn't make any difference. So I really delved into, okay, what is it that I'm passionate about? And it just so happens that not last Saturday, but the Saturday before that, I went to a local elementary school here because they were having International Day. They wanted to have me come and talk about America. Well, I taught them the hokey pokey. And I love doing the hokey pokey with the kids. I did it with a web design school in Serbia for the kids in a rural village where we bought a house. And it's that same thing as when I was teaching the kids the hokey pokey. There's that moment when they're looking at this crazy American doing the hokey pokey that something is then available for them that wasn't before in their self-expression. For them, in their lives. And it was that moment that I saw that's really what I'm passionate about, that moment when I can see in their eyes that something else is available for that person. It's what I'm passionate about with my clients or no matter what I'm doing. And that's really the question I would ask people is, what are you truly passionate about? And get underneath the cliche answers. Making a difference or making money or whatever. There's a reason behind all of that. And generally what happens, we stop at the first answer that's cliche and we never get to the source.
Wow. Okay. So like diving deeper into the real emotion of like, why do you want to make a change in the world and just continuing to ask more questions?
Right, because there's juice there, right? It's like gold. It's like mining for gold. What is the gold? It's not about and then we I want to be an entrepreneur because I'm then the master of my domain. Well, there's probably something underneath that you're really passionate about. What is that? And it's usually something really simple. It's really those magical moments. And if you look at it, there's a common thread through all of your life, and it's the same whether you're on vacation, whether you're at work, whether you're on a date. There's a common thread behind there that really tells you what your purpose is.
Wow, I think that's really powerful. To dive deeper into the cliche answers kind of sound good on it's like, oh, I'll accept that. That sounds good. Change the world, or, like the Gandhi quote, would be the change you wish to see in the world. Things like that. And I think diving deeper can kind of bring us in touch to our values and help us get more aligned with what we should be doing.
Yeah, and that's our purpose. That's it. That's what there is. And people overcomplicate it, and they're like, do seminars and courses and exercises and all of that. It's like, no. There's just a common thread. Look and see what that thread is.
I like that. Commonalities amongst your life growing up and even the way you view business today. So I think that's really interesting. What would you say are some big lessons that you've learned from running an international business?
Oh, gosh. I have learned to not take it so seriously. And in the beginning, I was just kind of like, gripped by this fear of, doing it right, getting it right, and always making the clients happy. And while we generally make our clients happy, you can't please everybody. And you kind of have to look at the bigger picture rather than getting like in the weeds, so to speak. And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned, because, man, when you're in the weeds, it just is no fun. It just sucks. So it's really great to get above that and really not take this whole thing too seriously.
So just have fun with what you're doing. And you mentioned earlier, focus on what brings you joy and happiness.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that kind of thing. Because when you're caught in the weeds, here's the tendency. People, when they're in the weeds, tend to go into a survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, as science is now showing us, you're in a toddler brain and you don't see all the perspectives. All you really see is mine and no. And you begin to take actions that are in a dance with that.
Yeah.
Rather than when you begin to wonder, you begin to look at what's possible, it elevates you from that into an adult brain, and then you see all the opportunities that are before you.
You got to take some time to self-reflect, and you could really see the big picture from there.
Yeah, because most of the times you're missing the opportunities. It's so funny over here how I see when we're talking about mindset, what their mindsets, they miss opportunities. Like I will say to someone, great, give me a proposal, right? And they're so in their mindset over here that I never get a proposal from them. It's that kind of thing where you miss the plot if you're too in survival, too in the weeds.
Yeah. It's a very powerful lesson right there on dealing with business. Now, Drew, let's jump into something I call the knowledge rounds. I'm just going to ask you some rapid fire questions here, bring out some more valuable nuggets of wisdom for the audience. So, Drew, are you ready for the knowledge round?
I am so ready. Bring it on.
Someday I'll go after my dreams. Someday I'll take action. Wouldn't the world be a better place if we were all inspired? If the world wasn't full of uninspiring people? We're all taught that life is tough. Life is hard. But the awful truth is that life is easy. It's pretty easy to live and do just enough. But truly living, chasing your dreams is hard. What are you dying to do? What is it that lights a fire in your heart? Don't wait till someday to answer this question. There is nothing more important than figuring that out. We're all dying, but if you're not chasing your dream, then you're already dead. Guys, go to kfmretreat.com to apply for my retreat that will change everything. Go to kfmretreat.com to apply and be part of a program that will be a catalyst for redefining your life. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. All right, first question here is, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling lost or unsure of their purpose?
What I would say is do something different. It doesn't have to be life revolutionary, but do something different, because if you do something different, you're going to have a different life.
Very powerful. And Drew, what was holding you back, if anything, from becoming the man you are now today?
The thing that I think was holding me back was taking life too seriously and missing some of the opportunities and not being willing to take risk.
Yeah, I think that's such a huge thing that's holding so many people back. And maybe fear is involved in that.
Fear, yeah. I mean, I wish that's very well said. Fear, getting at the heart and really confronting fear and really loving fear, loving it. Go to those things that you're afraid of. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said, do something every day you're afraid of. And that will give you a different life. Because I look back and I'm like, oh, if I would have known then what I know now, I would have done it differently. And if I look, it's just a function of fear.
Absolutely. And Drew, can you name someone who's had a large impact on your life, maybe a mentor? How has this person had an impact on you?
The mentors that really have had the biggest impact for me were mentors at Landmark Education. They're the world's largest personal and professional development company. And as Time Magazine said, it's the first stop on any transformational tour. And my mentors there really were the most impactful because they really had me get my responsibility. They had me get accountability and really gave me all the keys to have an extraordinary life.
Wow, that's a really good review. What are some of the things that you did at Landmark that really helped you break through?
Well, one of the things that had me break through was I actually became responsible for my interpretations. So anytime you have it that life is a particular way, it becomes stuck. And what I did is I got responsible for my interpretations, which then had me relate to people differently and relate to my life differently. Because I was responsible for the way that I interpreted something. It wasn't that it truly happened that way. It was my interpretation. So if there was a conflict, rather than, oh, it's that person over there, it's like, oh, wow, that person said this and I interpreted it this way. I'm accountable for my interpretation. And if there's any upset, I'm accountable for the upset.
So it sounds like taking 100% responsibility over your life and where you're at.
Exactly, right. It's completely taking 100% responsibility and accountability. You get to say that what your life goes, and it gives you the power to really create, an extraordinary life.
Wow. Where do you think you would be without that type of education?
Just to be honest, I have no idea, but I do know that I wouldn't be a successful CEO living in Budapest, Hungary. That's for sure.
And yeah. And so on this journey of yours, could you recommend maybe 3 of your most influential books that you've read and why?
Really, well, The Alchemist.
Okay.
I think that it's just a book about really anything's possible, right? And just keep going down that path and life will unfold. And anything's possible. So I love that book for that reason. Another book is Turning the Mind into an Ally by Saki Mitpham. And the reason that was so important, because it started me down my path of meditation. And meditation is another one of those things, life-changing practices that I do that without reading that book, I don't know if I would have continued down that path.
All right. And do you have another book?
Well, my book, Destination Aha, writing.
Of course. Absolutely.
That was what's interesting about it. I highly recommend it to anyone out there that's even thinking about writing a book. Write a book about it, because rereading your book, and particularly it's amazingly powerful process on a different level. Even if you never want to publish it, I highly recommend that you begin writing, journaling, or whatever it is, because it's a really, really powerful process.
Is that kind of how your book came to be? As you were journaling and then, wow, there's so much great content here, you decided to format it?
The book came about because I had always had a passion to write a book and I didn't know why. And finally I was like, I'm just going to write a book. And it took a lot of soul searching to say, okay, what is it that I want to say to the world? What do I want to add to the conversation? And then it was really when we were in Dubrovnik, Croatia, because our visa ran out in Budapest, so we had to spend a winter in Dubrovnik, Croatia. And it was really when we were there, I really saw, it's really the traveling gives you such, like I said, a unique perspective to spark those aha moments. And that's when I was like, if I could have people get anything, it's really is that you can create those aha moments. And it really is those aha moments that give you a different life.
Yeah. And being aware of those aha moments, as you've alluded to this whole episode.
Exactly.
All right. And so now, scenario here for you, Drew. Ask all the guests this question. One of my favorite questions on the show here is, imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self. Where was your 20-year-old self? What was he doing?
He was in college studying chemical engineering, of all things.
Okay.
That's what my degree is in, chemical engineering.
Okay.
How I became a publicist, different story. Okay.
So imagine you saw your 20-year-old self and you had 60 seconds with him. He's probably in a lab coat, mixing some stuff up, and you had 60 seconds to talk to him. What would you share with him? What kind of insights, what kind of lessons would you try and indulge into your 20-year-old self? And maybe some things that you would tell him not to do, maybe things that you would tell him to avoid.
I would tell him to fully embrace life, really go for it, go and do those things that you're afraid of. And I also would tell him to be gracious with himself and gracious with others, and really, really get out there and get messy. Don't worry about getting it right, get messy, and just really savor this juicy experience called life.
Yeah, that's really good. Anything you would tell him not to do, or just let it be?
I would actually tell him, no, there was nothing that I would tell him not to do. No, I just tell him to just really enjoy life and just listen. Don't speak so much and just listen. So I tell him, don't talk so much, listen more.
All right. And now just kind of looking back and summarizing some of the, main points maybe of this interview, but from where you are, a college student studying chemical engineering to where you are now and the international business that you run and the book that you published, what would you say is your philosophy on life and success?
My philosophy on life and success is really to do those things that you love and really forget the rest. It's really that simple. Really go and do those things that really light you up, turn you on. Do different things, experience different things, get out there. I think too often that we get stuck in ruts and we have this mundane existence and we don't know how to get out of it. And that's really what I say, do something different every day, even if it's taking a different route to work, it's ordering a different kind of coffee, reading a different kind of book. Just do something different every single day.
I like that. And maybe do something that scares you too.
Yeah, do something that really scares. Yeah, do something that scares you. It's just so funny. I watch myself. Here in Budapest, we have these thermal baths, and they're in these gorgeous old buildings. And I often go there and I sit in these great pools. And it's like I watch myself even as an adult how afraid there is, the fear of actually talking to someone. Well, the other day, and I try to always do something. So I just walk up to these Americans because I could hear them. I said, "Oh, Americans, where are you from?" We just struck up this really, really great conversation. So it doesn't have to be earth-shattering, but when you get those butterflies in your stomach, do it anyway.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it anyway. I like that. And now, Drew, that concludes the knowledge round. So what's getting you out of bed in the morning today? What's really exciting you?
Well, generally, it's my dogs that get me out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
And they excite me because I enjoy them. But what's getting me out of bed in the morning is I'm working on this really cool project which centers around, of all things, value. And it's called the self-sabotage vaccination. It's really how you infuse value to get out of your toddler wiring, to get into your adult wiring, to actually really eliminate anxiety, depression, and really basically, any kind of anger or those things where we self-sabotage ourselves, eating. And I'm really, really excited about this project because I think it's revolutionary.
Wow, that sounds really good. And you sound really passionate about it. So I know that's something that you're really going to dive into and delve into.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like it just keeps furthering what my purpose is. And that's really part of the purpose, is to bring that conversation to the world.
I like that. Drew, if you want to leave yourself a plug on how my audience can follow up with you moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. If they'd like to get a free copy of my book, they can go to destinationaha.com. And there's a free downloadable book if they want to get my book. That's probably the best way. Or you can go to wasabipublicity.com if you want to find out our PR services, or just Google me, Drew Gerber. I'm not the wrestler. Michelle just Googled me. She said, this wrestler comes up. I'm not the wrestler. I'm the other Drew Gerber.
All right. Well, thank you for offering the book to my audience. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Is that going to be up indefinitely, or is there a date on that?
It's going to be up at least for probably another 6 months to a year. So.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Just for the record there. And I'll be sure to put that in the show notes of the blog, a link there, and to your websites that you just mentioned. So, Drew, it's been great having you be on the show. I really appreciate the time that you've spent here and sharing some of the stories that you've gone through. So, again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for your commitment. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and 1 million downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we've just started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes. It really helps to grow the podcast. Guys, 2015 is the official year of living with purpose, where every day you do only the things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. Check out kfmfree.com to get free tools I've created to help you crush life. Again, that's kfmfree.com. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and I'll see you in the next episode.